Merry Christmas. I hope you had an absolutely fantastic day if you were celebrating with family and friends, and that you have a bit of time off over the rest of this holiday season to just relax and celebrate with those you love. My name is Sarah, and today I will be sharing with you my Christmas book haul. So this book haul contains all of the books that I was gifted over the month of December through Secret Santas, gifts from friends, gifts from family, etc., along with 2 books that I wound up picking up for myself. Up first, we have Daisy Miller and Washington Square by Henry James. This is the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition, which is a collection of these 2 novellas of Henry James. I was gifted this along with one other book during a Secret Santa exchange with a bunch of my friends at the beginning of the month, and I'm not super familiar with either of these stories other than what is on the back of the book, but I've never actually read any Henry James before, so I am quite excited to get into his writing, and I think reading some shorter works of his before I potentially jump into any of his longer pieces will be a great introduction. Up next, Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope. So I really hope that I am pronouncing his name correctly, because I had never heard of Mr. Trollope prior to receiving this novel. It is the second of the 2 books that I received during the Secret Santa exchange with my friends at the beginning of the month. And like I said, I'd never heard of Anthony Trollope or Barchester Towers prior to receiving this book, but apparently his writing is very similar to other writers from the Victorian era. He uses a lot of the Dickinsonian character names and the comically interruptive narrator and things like that. This particular book, there's like plots and counterplots and people trying to find a new wife for a recent widow and all sorts of intrigue and stuff like that. So I'm pretty intrigued by the summation on the back of this book, and I'm quite interested to see what Anthony Trollope's writing has in store. Since I'd never heard of him before, I really have no idea how I am going to like his writing, but if it's anything like Dickens, then I think I will enjoy him, so we'll see how it goes. If you have heard of Anthony Trollope, read any of his pieces before, I would certainly love to hear from you in the comments below to see your opinions on him and his writing and what other authors he is somewhat like. Up next, Make It Happen by Laura Casey. This is one of 2 books that I purchased for myself over the month of December. I first discovered Laura Casey sometime in the early part of 2014. She is a blogger, business owner, author, speaker, mother, all sorts of other wonderful things. She founded and is the editor-in-chief of Southern Weddings magazine, started the Make It Happen conference. She runs a business where she sells prints and note cards and the power sheets, which are a set of intentional goal planning sheets that used to span 6 months, and now she has year-long ones, and just all sorts of really cool and awesome things. And she recently published her first book, Make It Happen, which obviously is the same name as the Make It Happen conference. So in a lot of respects, Make It Happen is like a memoir of sorts. It is Laura's story of starting her business, how it affected her marriage and her family and her life, and I have really loved following her on her social media accounts and just learning more about who she is as a person and her heart for women and business and faith and marriage and all sorts of things. So I'm quite excited to read this book and see what she has to say. Up next, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is the second of the 2 books that I purchased for myself in the month of December. I am not quite sure when I heard about this one. I think it was in early-ish November, but my introduction to the book was that it was very similar to All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, which, as I'm sure you know, won the Pulitzer Prize this year. I read All the Light We Cannot See at the beginning of the summer, I think it was, and absolutely adored it. I am a huge fan of historical fiction, always have been, and for whatever reason, most of my favorite eras to read about are those that take place during war. As a young child, I really loved Revolutionary and Civil War, and in recent years I have really enjoyed World War II fiction, which this is another World War II fiction novel. Like All the Light We Cannot See, it follows 2 sisters who live in France, and they become estranged because they have a disagreement about the imminent threat of occupation, and that's really all I know about it, but I've heard nothing but wonderful things, and I have not read nearly enough historical fiction over the last couple of years, so I'm really excited to dive into this story because, like I said, I've heard nothing but good things, and I just adore historical fiction. Up next, For the Love by Jen Hatmaker. So Jen Hatmaker is a writer, blogger, and speaker who, similar to Laura Casey, I discovered in the early part of 2014. I read her book 7 last year, and it completely rocked my world. For the Love is her newest release that came out in, I think, like September-ish of 2015, and my dear friend Holly picked picked this up for me for Christmas. She also picked up a copy for herself, so I think the plan is to do a buddy read of it in the early months of 2016. The subtitle for this book is Fighting for Grace in a World of Impossible Standards, and from everything I've heard about it, Jen sort of goes through a lot of big topics like self and relationships and stuff like that, and talks about things like comparison and perfection and learning how to give ourselves grace in a world that often doesn't. And like I said, I loved reading 7 last year. It completely rocked my world, and Jen Hatmaker is just hilarious and so insightful, and so I am really excited to pick up another book of hers and to be reading it with one of my dearest friends. And for the final bit of my Christmas book haul, A through F in the Penguin Dropcap series. So if you watch Mari from the channel My Name is Mari Ness, you probably have always seen this lovely like rainbow bookshelf. I think it's actually on this side of her now, but this sort of vertical bookshelf of just these gorgeous rainbow books, and that is the full Dropcap series from Penguin Publishers. Penguin teamed up with Jessica Hirsch, who is a fantastic hand letterer sometime last year, and had her letter a Dropcap for every letter of the alphabet, and then they chose 26 classic books using the letter as the last name of the author, and made this gorgeous collection of books with the drop caps that Jessica designed on the front of the covers, and then the covers themselves are in a rainbow color order. So the covers are beautiful, the books sitting on a shelf together are beautiful, and as a person who also is a letterer myself and loves design things, these editions of these books are just like, they're the perfect combination of my love of beautiful design and beautiful covers and my love of classic literature. So for A, we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. B is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. C is My Antonia by Willa Cather. D is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. E is Middlesex by George Eliot. And F is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I really don't know. So all 6 of these books are obviously well-loved pieces of classic literature. Of these 6, I have only read Pride and Prejudice and Jane Eyre, and it has been a long time since I read either of those books. Jane Eyre in particular, I'm pretty sure I haven't read it since I was in high school. And from what my mom said, she decided to get me the first 6 in the series so that she knew where she left off, and it sounds like for birthdays and Christmas and, you know, Valentine's Day and Easter and all sorts of random things, maybe just whenever she feels like it, I'm just going to be getting the next letters in the series, so I am quite excited about that. I will be doing a full video discussing my reading goals for 2016 sometime next week, but one of those goals is to be more intentional about reading more classic literature, and seeing as I have received the first 6 in this series, I think I'm just going to read through the alphabet. Well, there you have it, friends. That is my Christmas/December book haul. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of the books that I received in this month. If you have any particular favorites from the list that you think I should pick up first, please let me know in the comments. And I would also love to hear what, if any, books were waiting for you underneath the tree this year. If you want to follow me elsewhere online, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads at Sarah Ann Hayes. The links for all of those profiles will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! Hello, friend! Wow, ow. Anthony Trollope or brush your test, blah blah blah. Anthony Trollope or brush your test, and like I have a Pride and Prejudice, blah blah blah. So E is Great Expectations, great blah blah. C, 6, of these 6, I have only read Pride and Prejudice, blah blah. I'm clearly super great at words today.